why are young men coming to the Catholic Church? What would you say?
In some ways, the question probably is better. Like, why aren't more women converting? I think it's straightforward why men would be attracted. For one, we live in a culture that it has no idea what to do with men. It is not built for men. It's not built for boys. Like, you look at the way school treats boys and wants to medicate away masculinity of like, oh, you've got ADHD because you're hyper as a 5-year-old boy. There's something just profoundly like a lack of understanding of the human person in general, but I think of boys in particular. Now, this is true in different ways for girls. But then there's like this deep like failure to appreciate the gift that masculinity is, and of a fear that any kind of celebration of masculinity at all might offend some woman out there. So I actually shared this with you guys on the chat in one of the few times where I checked our text messages. But the Titans, who I think were 3-14 last year, in addition to their on-field success, had some off-field success by, and I'm going to quote them here, wishing Happy Father's Day to all the Titans' moms and fatherly figures. Now, is there any group that you might wish Happy Father's Day to
that's not on that list?
Wasn't mentioned there. Yeah.
Oh, I can't think. It seems like there's a group of people that you would want to mention on Father's Day, but I can't think of who they are. They're, that's
what I mean. Like, this would never have happened the other way around. If they had done a Mother's Day message that was just to dads and motherly figures, that would never have. That wouldn't have flown.
That would have been front page news.
Someone in PR would have caught that one. So in the face of like this failure to have any space for men, the Catholic Church has a clear sense of who you are and what you're made for. And it's, I think, refreshing to have that. That's one reason. The other reason is just like, it's true, and men overwhelmingly like apologetics.
Yeah, but what about another reason? And this is one that I think Christine Emba and Audie Cornish were kind of at least hinting at, which is, actually they came out and said it. Catholic women are more amenable to traditional roles, and men are attracted to women who, and again, we go back to that sociological interpretation, but their idea was, well, these young men are attracted to Catholicism because the women who will have babies and will care for the home are in the Catholic Church, so that's where I should go. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the message they were giving. What do you make of that?
I think it goes to the question of maturity or becoming a man. In fact, I appreciate Joe's remarks about boys in school. Probably the worst thing you can do to a 7 or 8 year old boy is make him sit in a classroom for 6 hours. That's a terrible thing to do to a boy.
I feel sometimes that people, and I won't just say people, but I feel sometimes that women in the media make fun of men who want traditional sex roles. I feel like that's a put down in a way. Do you think I'm wrong to take that as a put down? I feel like sometimes that's used as
I think you're absolutely right. I think it just seems like, you're so retrograde. You want the thing that worked in the past instead of the thing that doesn't work now.
No, but I don't think that this demonstrates an arrogance on men's part, which is how it's taken. This is actually an expression of vulnerability on the part of men. A man cannot have what he desires in life if a woman will not bear children. And so it's not a matter of, I hate women, I want all women to be, it's a much more personal thing than that. In the heart of a man, he wants to be a father. And if you, the woman, will not bear children, he can't do it. So he is entirely dependent on you to say yes to the oldest of traditional sex roles, which is women bear children. Only in California have they changed that with the modern science that we have. Do you see what I'm saying? Like this is,
I do. Men I think it's even bigger than that.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I think even prior to women being mothers, they're wives. And the man being the provider and the woman being receptive and all of that dynamic, men want to do that. And that's harder to do right now in a lot of ways. Economically, caring for someone else on a single income and all of those things can be hard. But I think men want overwhelmingly, and then you see it in the data, they want to take care of women. And I think many women are conflicted where they don't want to feel like they're a burden. And they maybe haven't been trained in any of the domestic arts of, how to care for a house or a husband. And so, and especially women who, their life trajectory was graduate from college or high school, go to college, graduate from college into the workforce, and they learn to care for themselves in a certain way. They're used to being the primary breadwinner of their household of one. And then the idea of giving all of their current trajectory up and entering marriage is quite an abrupt change for women in the modern cast of womanhood, compared to what it is for men, who are expected to kind of do the same thing, but now feed twice as many people and eventually maybe several times more people. As a man, your job is more, but now you're doing it for someone besides yourself, which is tremendously satisfying. Like, if I'm just working for myself, then hopefully my work is rewarding, but it's ultimately only serving me. And there's something that's shallow about that. But if the thing I'm doing isn't just helping me, it's helping this woman I love and eventually the children that I love, then that gives it tremendous value. But it's tricky because society is set up now where women feel a tremendous pressure to work in marriage and feel almost a necessity to work before marriage, with marriage being as late as it is in life at this point, that it can be a very tricky thing to then transition. If a woman's been working for 15 years in the workforce and then gets married and is just like, well, now what?
Yeah.
What was all of that career advancement for?
Right.
What are all these skills for? And then this other part is just not built up in the same way.
I hope that the moment that Audi Cornish is observing here is in fact a moment, and the pendulum's about to swing, because the marriage rate among Catholics can't get worse.
It's awful.
People
are just not marrying.
We're marrying at about 1/5 the rate that we married when Jack and I were married 34 years ago. 1/5.
34 years ago, 1/5 the number of marriages. That's just devastating.
It can't get worse.
No. But I do want to push back a little bit on Joe Heschmeyer saying, I think you might have moved past what I said to say the man wants to be the provider and not that the man wants children. And I know you weren't saying I was wrong, but I want to go back to that because I'm watching TV the other day, and there's a TV commercial on. It's a bank commercial. And the young couple is talking about saving money with their banker, so this is for the bank. And if we have that much money, that's kind of the point of the commercial. We could do this or we could do that. And the man says, we could have kids. And the wife says, kid. And this is supposed to be a charming little, moment in a bank commercial. And looking at it, I think, that is devastating to that man. That is devastating to him. Now, I'm not saying all men have the same desire, but why does the male desire for children, why is it treated like a joke, like it's an imposition? Certainly it is an imposition if our lives are meant to be lived for ourselves, but he cannot have that desire fulfilled if she's like the young woman in the bank commercial who's just like, kid. If she's in charge of that. He's not in charge of that. There's nothing he can do about it. And I don't think that the world appreciates the vulnerability of men in this situation. Men want to be dads. And they can't be if women won't be moms.
Why don't they? Why don't they want the thing that most is going to fulfill them?
The women?
Yeah.
I think it's scary. I think it's
somebody
in a very vulnerable
Get
position.
Let's see if we can get Siobhan in here. Think she can come in?
I think a lot of women do want to.
Yeah, I'd like to ask her.
I think
it's true.
You think a lot of women?
Wait a minute. So somebody did the marketing research to make that commercial, or maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
But that woman in the commercial is standing in for. A commercial is supposed to create empathy with the person who's watching it, right?
Right. So she's standing in for the modern woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone,
it's wrong.
Someone has this sense that this is women want one kid or no kids or. But
right. But so how did we get to I think that's right. I mean, part of why we got to that point certainly is that the modern world is atomizing. And when a woman is living in a village and there's lots of people around and she's having children doesn't banish her from society, but more deeply integrates her into society, then she has every impetus to have more children. But today, if a woman has more children, she's more isolated. And I think that is, we have to have compassion on young people, not just be accusatory towards them. And she doesn't want to be isolated in the home. She doesn't want to be pushed away for the next 15, 20 years to where she's alone with children.
Well, and a lot of young women are the children of divorces. And they know if you're going to get pregnant and have kids, you're jeopardizing a lot of your career trajectory.
Yeah, that's right.
If you end up having a guy who's not loyal, he divorces you, he abandons your family, now you're in a real pickle. And so I think it's a scary thing for a lot of young women for all of those reasons, particularly if they come from families where marriage was not modeled well. And so, yeah, it takes a lot for a culture to turn women against their own biology. But I think we've largely managed to do it.
Yeah, since Roe v. Wade.
Indeed.
Yeah. So and then what you end up with are, we all hear about the Japanese men. This very, very modern society, Japan. These lonely, isolated, reclusive Japanese men. But that stereotype is not just for the Japanese. I think men withdraw. That's what happens. If I cannot have my desires met in this society. Men withdraw. I think women achieve and men withdraw under those circumstances. Men want to be challenged to take care of things. And when they're not, and when their very perfectly natural desire to be husband and father is thwarted, they withdraw.